Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw. Today I'm reviewing the brand new studio album from For A Cowboy entitled Sun Eater. Let's jump into this album. It's pretty crazy. This is album number 4 because I remember years and years and years ago, before this band ever put out our first album, when I first discovered them with their Doom EP, that this band had a completely different sound than they do now. And actually they had a completely different sound from Demonocracy back the album before this one. And to hear the differences between Demonocracy to now Sun Eater is crazy. But seeing Sun Eater compared to their Doom EP way back in the day when they were first starting out and getting some recognition and some notice around the metal world, the sound, it sounds like a completely different band at this point. The only thing that did not change really is actually the vocals, and everything else basically started advancing more towards the technical side. Sun Eater, I think, if you've heard Demonocracy and you like what Demonocracy had to offer, because the band at that point on Demonocracy, the third full-length album, it really took them in a whole new direction. They were going way more technical, and they were going in the more melodic direction to where they were trying out these new things and basically expanding what For A Cowboy is. And I really love that album. Demonocracy was one of my favorite albums that was put out that year, and it was really an album that I think showed that the band could do more than what they were previously doing on their first couple of releases. Now onto Sun Eater. This album is, to me, I think the best way to progress from the tryouts and basically the kind of experimental album that was Demonocracy in a way. Because Sun Eater is literally full force, almost full forced technical death metal. There is some death metal aspects that are still there, so fans of that side of For A Cowboy are still going to be pleased. But I feel like that for people that love technical death metal and people that love the progressive aspect and like to listen to bands that started this way and kind of ended in this way, where they've basically did a 180 and went in a brand new direction, or a more complex direction, this is definitely an album worth checking out. Sun Eater has a lot of things going for it, and a lot of those things work, I think, in a great way, and really, I think, gels together with what they're already previously doing. Because easily, this album could be 100% blast beats, breakdowns, and just non-stop riffage with no variety at all. And people would like it because that's basically how they first started out. There was some variation, but the kind of simplistic concept of deathcore, what they were starting with, they could easily just stick with that formula. But I feel like that the band wanted to expand and try new things, and for me personally, it's working out. The single they released, which I'm going to try my best to pronounce it, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher, but Son of Nihility, I'm probably butchering that. Track number 2, which was the single, has this beautiful melodic intro. And right off the bat, hearing the single before the full-length album came out, the bass is so damn loud. And for me, it works because it makes the bass player for this record and the bass player for this band not just a bass player, not just a typical bass player from metal. It feels like at this point, the bass is another guitar at this point, because you can listen to the guitars and listen to the beautiful melodies, the beautiful solo, the hectic solo, the crushing riffs, and then you can listen to the bass that's doing something completely different than everyone else in the band. The band could be doing this like beautiful melodic piece, and the bass is just going crazy and doing something melodic, and it's different from what the guitars are doing. The bass player is on another level. It's just going wherever it wants to go, and it works. It fits. And that's what I really like. They could have easily drowned everything else out and had the bass just max level. But the bass is loud enough to where it is technically another guitar. It's something else to listen to rather than hearing the basic just hitting the same note a couple times and switch the note because now the guitar is going in this direction, so we got to follow along. The bass is just going all over the place and saying, screw it, no following, just going to do what I want. And I like that. I like the fact that it's just not following along. He wants to go outside of that box and just do whatever is going to make this song sound more interesting and make the listener want to listen to not just the guitars, not just the drums, not just the vocals, but the bass as well. It's adding it into the equation, and I love that. My favorite tracks on this album is as follows. Track number 1, Eating the Visions of God. This is a fantastic track to open this album. If this song, if you go to listen to the record, if this song doesn't really catch your eye, doesn't catch your attention, and the song just doesn't really do anything for you, then I recommend maybe you should stop the record, because this is a great example of what to expect. Now, not everything on this album that's going to be featured throughout this record is on the first track, but this is a good representation of what to expect somewhat throughout the record. So if you don't like the first track, if you don't like the single, which is the second track that follows, that actually does a great lead-in to the second track, the ending of the first song, then, you know, you're probably not going to enjoy this record. So just heads up on that. The Stone Cross, track number 3, I think takes a nice little sidestep in a different direction, at least progression-wise, transition-wise throughout the song, as it's a more simplistic song, but yet it has some mighty riffs, does some great drumming, and I feel like that the song, I feel, you know, it doesn't really follow the kind of formula the first 2 tracks are doing, so there's a nice switch up to where you can actually enjoy some of the different aspects of Job for a Cowboy and enjoy this more simplistic and shorter songwriting. So that was a nice transition there. The Synthetic Sea, track number 4, I love that song. I love the intro. It's so creepy, and it's kind of eerie sounding, and then it just hits you, and the riffing, I think, is powerful. The bass work is just phenomenal once again. It's just something to really die for. The bass playing is something that I will keep praising throughout this record, because it is just a phenomenal sound, and it's beautiful. You have to listen to this album and hear the bass for yourself to really enjoy what is happening from the bass player. The Celestial Antidote, track number 6, another fantastic track. Encircled by Mirrors, track number 7, I feel like is a great song as well. I really enjoyed the vocals on that song, and I really like the drumming on that song. It really is technical, and there's some cool parts, and I really enjoy especially some of the riffs that goes on in the song, because it really shows some heaviness of the band, some more of the melodic side of the band, and just an overall fantastic track. Really highlights all the band members in different sections, so it's definitely one of those songs to check out. Track number 8, Buried Monuments, and track number 9, Worming Nightfall. I know I skipped one song, but all the songs are great, but those are my favorite songs, which is basically the majority of the record. But track number 9, Worming Nightfall, the final track, I think is a fantastic track to end this album. It really basically takes all of the songs you've heard and kind of combine them into one fantastic ending song that kind of ends this album on a very, very high note, in my personal opinion. And I feel like this song really shows where the band has gone from the beginning of their career up to now, and where they could potentially go with the 5th record. And so this is a fantastic album, I think, in their discography. It really does fit, and I feel like that the band is showing that Job for a Cowboy is more than just what we were. You know, we are more than that. We are, you know, a collective of different things. I'm expecting album 5 to have some newer things throw into the mix. That's my personal opinion, because they've really, I think, kind of not essentially mastered, but they're understanding the concept of technical death metal. They know how to write it, in my personal opinion, and I feel like that at this point they're going to try to do something new on the 5th record. But this album is just phenomenal, worth your time. It's worth at least one listen. Let's go through the actual personnel. Jonny Davy on vocals. Now, the one gripe everyone has about Job for a Cowboy, and especially on the single they put out, which I tried to name earlier, and I probably butchered it to death, but the thing is, people gripe is the vocals from Jonny. And for me, I saw them live. He was great, a very powerful vocalist, and his vocals, I just don't see his vocals changing. He has one of the most unique vocals, in my personal opinion, in this side of metal, in the death metal, and the now technical death metal aspect of music. He has a very unique voice, and I like the different ranges he goes through. So for the people that gripe, I get it, because his vocals, in a sense, you could say, yeah, it doesn't fit with what they're trying to do here. That they should get a more cleaner sounding vocalist. But for me, the Jonny has that kind of rawness that I think that I did not see changing. I didn't see them getting rid of him or him trying to do a different vocal style. I think that he's going to stick with this, and I think for the most part, it works throughout this record. I really don't have any issues with him vocal-wise throughout this record, so I have no complaints. It is what it is. He's not going to change, so if you can't accept what he's doing, then, of course, don't listen to the music. But I really enjoy his performance, and he really does add a dark element, and his lyrical content, I think, is really, really good. And I just like what he delivered on this record. He's a great addition to the band, and he's not going to leave. He's just not going to leave, okay? It's just going to happen. Exit it out. Okay, here we go. Sorry. The old iPhone. Crap. Al on guitar and Tony on guitar. The guitar playing on this album varies between the very hectic and intense and insane that you would expect from the rhythm playing, and there are some rhythm playing and get to the more melodic sections and then the actual solos where the guitar playing is just very soothing, and it has like a very interesting aspect as we go from this one riff where it's just chug riff and it's slamming and hitting you and it's heavy, it's hectic. Then we go into this melodic, a slower down riff where it's just beautiful, and they maybe have like an effect on it, that kind of like an intro or an effect on the guitar playing to where it sounds kind of creepy and it sounds really different than what the riff you heard before. So I like that there's those type of things that are happening. The solos are ranging from these beautiful pieces of solos that I think are just to die for. They're very well put in, and when the solos get very hectic and crazy, the rest of the band follows suit. And as you can tell, the guitar playing is phenomenal. If you love guitar playing, if you love listening to guitars because you love the guitar playing, you love that aspect of music, you love that aspect of metal, this is one album definitely worth checking out for the guitar playing, for the rhythm and melodies, and especially solos. It's worth a listen. It's really, really good stuff and very well put together. Nick on bass, like I said, the bass is another guitar at this point. The bass is on its own level. It's doing all these crazy things. I give the guy props. I want this guy to do a solo record of him just playing bass nonstop. You know, that's what he needs to do, because this guy is really doing some intense things on this record that I'm just like, my mind is blown, because when the guitar is doing this and you're like really enjoying this, if you're not paying attention, you're missing the bass parts. You're missing the epicness that is happening on technically the third guitarist, which is the bass player. You're missing out. So when you listen to this record, if you are going to take a listen to those bass parts. Listen to them. I mean, they're not going to be hard to miss. They are loud, but you have to listen to what's happening because it is epic. It's amazing. I love the fact that the bass player is getting a lot of recognition and that he's doing a lot of crazy things. It's worth listening to just for the bass playing. This album is worth listening to just for the bass playing at this point. Now, they had a session drummer, Danny, because unfortunately, let me go back up here and make sure I don't miss his name, John the Charn Rice, very so I'd say his little nickname there, departed the band, so they have a session drummer, Danny Walker. Quickly, I'll just say that he really fit with the band. It felt like, it was just the band going back in the studio. So honestly, there was no hiccups, there was no problems where I was going, okay, well, the drums could have been better there. They could have did something else there. But for the most part, the guy did good. He's session drummer, so he sounds pretty good. I don't know if they picked him up to play with them full time. I don't know what the whole deal is there, but it's what it says on the cheat sheet. But, yeah, drumming, I have no issues with. If I had an issue, I'd be talking about it, and I'd be talking about it instead of talking about bass nonstop, guitars and vocals nonstop. But the drumming, it's great. Anyways, guys, Sun Eater, that is the review. Thank you guys for watching. 9.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching one again. 9.5, 10. 9.5 out of 10 is my rating. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, like the video. If you want to see me or more of my stuff, click my name and to see more. Peace.